Right off the top tonight, the search continues for a woman from Wexford County who was 38 weeks pregnant when she disappeared a week ago.
A pregnant woman disappeared in Michigan weeks before her due date, and her fiance is hoping to find answers.
They have searched my property. 2, I didn't touch my daughter. And 3, we already know the info that you're telling us, Araya.
And we got cameras watching the road, you dumb.
So you better watch it. Rusty, you better get your child under control because she's taking.
We have a wild one right now over Rebecca K. Park, pregnant woman who's been missing, and she's supposed to be giving birth today as I made this video. And the suspects who are involved is pretty much all immediate family. And there's some crazy details of allegations that are going on that I'm going to give you a little bit of what you know of that. Fugitive TV. Stay tuned. Fugitive TV, welcome. Please like, subscribe, share this information. Hopefully, when you're watching this video, you get a little bit of information. I might drop a gem or two, so that way you know, maybe you learn something you didn't learn before. The reason why this is called Fugitive TV is because I take a look at these cases, whether they're missing people, whether it's some sort of criminal activity, heist, whatever happens, and I look at it from my perspective, which I was once a fugitive on the run from the law for a long time, 15 years, been to prison, all that stuff. So I have a different perspective that I can look at things, and sometimes even connections that I can reach out to and ask about certain things. So a lot of people will send me emails and say, hey, take a look at this. I got an email and they said, take a look at this case. This is the case of Rebecca K. Park. Okay, Rebecca K. Park.
Rebecca Park, more commonly known as Becca, disappeared from her biological mother's house on South 21.5 Road in Wexford County's Boone Township last Tuesday evening. Her mom, Courtney Bartholomew, was the last person to see Becca.
Rebecca K. Park is from Michigan. Now, she's from this little small town called Cadillac, Michigan. I didn't even know there was a Cadillac, Michigan until this person brought this to my attention, okay? Well, Cadillac, Michigan is like a population of about 10,000 people. It's not big at all. Well, this young lady went missing November 3rd. Not only did she go missing, she's also pregnant, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys have been with me for prior videos. I have covered another missing case where the lady was pregnant. Unfortunately, they found her unalive, but in the video, I gave suspects, and I said the main suspect was the boyfriend. And what happens? The boyfriend got arrested and went to jail. Well, I'm going to give you a couple suspects on this one, and you guys let me know what you think, okay? So first of all, I'm going to tell you about the story real briefly. Like I said, she's from Cadillac, Michigan. The last person to see her alive was her own mother, okay? Her own mother. Her own mother says that. So Rebecca's own mom, this is how she recounts it, okay? And I'm going to read to you verbatim from 9 and 10 News, all right? So, as the Wexford County Sheriff's Office tracks down leads for missing pregnant woman Rebecca Park, who has been missing for more than a week after she disappeared into thin air last week in Wexford County. Her family is speaking out about her disappearance. 22-year-old Rebecca Park of Matton, more commonly known as Becca, disappeared from her biological mother's house. I'm going to explain why they say biological mother's house. There's a reason why they're saying this, and I'm going to tell you guys that. Her mom, Courtney, was the last person to see Becca. She said as the day goes on, she and her family are increasingly worried for Becca and her baby's safety. Courtney said Becca was having contractions right before she disappeared and was dilated 1 centimeter after checking in at a local hospital before they sent her home. All right? They said they have no idea where she is or who she went with. Her cell phone was later located near the mom's home on a 2-track. All right? Now in her 39th week of pregnancy and due November 18th, which is right now. That is today, okay? She's due today. She said it's critical to find her and her unborn baby, needing answers that can come soon enough. Just knowing that her cell phone was so close, did she try to come here and knock on the door and I didn't hear? You know that. Like a million thoughts ran through my head on why it would be here. Now, the mom said she went inside to go grab some Tide Pods. And as they were about to drive away, Courtney stopped her. She's like, Mom, hold up. I got somebody coming. And I'm like, what do you mean you got somebody coming? And she's like, I got somebody coming to get me. This is what Courtney said. She said, soon a black car with tinted windows she had never seen before pulled up. She got out of the car, turned around, opened the door back up. She's like, Mom, I'll be back. And she got in the car. They crept up by my truck really slow. And by that time they got to the front of my truck, they took off. She said she and Becca have a somewhat rocky relationship. Becky wasn't in foster care in her youth, but she loves Becca and was looking forward to her grandson's birth. Now, Courtney also said a $10,000 reward is being offered from a family friend for any information. I heard the reward's actually been up to $12K. Now, the last person to see her was her biological mom.
She's like, Mom, hold up. I got somebody coming. I'm like, what do you mean you got somebody coming? And she's like, I got somebody coming to get me.
Courtney says soon a black car with tinted windows she's never seen before pulls up.
She got out of the car, turned around, opened the door back up. She's like, Mom, I'll be back. And she got in the car. They crept up by my truck real slow. And by the time they got to the front of my truck, they took off.
Courtney says she and Becca have a somewhat rocky relationship. Becca was in foster care in her youth, but she loves Becca and was looking forward to her grandson's birth. A $10,000 reward is being offered from a family friend for any information leading to her safe return.
Now, as you saw, she grew up in foster care, right? Now, supposedly, I'm going to get into that about the mom, all right? We're going to get into the suspects and why they would be suspects. But she was the last person to see, the own mom was to see her daughter alive. Supposedly she got into a car and then she drove off, all right? Didn't see her again. Then they found her phone later on down the street, pretty much not far, and they found out they got her phone back. So her phone got tossed out the window or something, supposedly, and she's been missing ever since. And like I said, she is due to have her baby today. Now,
the detective is coming out today, and we are going to go through all the tips that have come in, what he thinks he should chase down, and what he just thinks he should disregard. Because there is hundreds of tips coming in.
Here's where it gets a little tricky, all right? Here's where it gets a little tricky. Now, like I said, biological mom. Rebecca did not grow up allegedly with her own mom. She was in and out of foster care. The mother lost custody of not just Rebecca, but I guess several kids. She had kids, I heard, allegedly as young as 12 or 13. I don't know if that's true or not. I could not find that out. But she lost custody of her kids, and that was why that's why they're calling it biological mom, or calling her biological mom. So you guys understand, right? So you guys are probably wondering, well, she was pregnant. What about the dad? What about the dad of the baby? Well, he's around, okay? He is around. Matter of fact, he's been on the news.
Every minute, I just keep telling myself every minute that she's gonna be found. Her and the little man are gonna be safe, okay. Having problems sleeping because for the last 2 years, every night, she's the one I was laying in bed next to. The night she left, I tried to call her a few times because I didn't get no messages, call from her, nothing. And it's just not like her because we're together 99% of the time. When we're not, you can ask anybody, we're always on our phones messaging each other.
He even said he's looking for her and everything else. Here is the funny thing about it, right? So as I'm digging this case for the last 2 days, right? I'm going on social media. I'm going on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'm even going on X. I'm asking ChatGPT, OpenAI. I'm using the resources I have, doing background checks, all kind of things, right? So I can give this information on where Rebecca could be and who could be around her and things like that. So the father of the baby is an older gentleman, all right? He's about 43 years old, okay? Rebecca is only 22. There's a news article where the father of the baby says they've been together for 2 years, which would make Rebecca 20 and him 41. Now, I'm not hating. I'm not doing any of that. 40-year-old with a 20-year-old, I couldn't date anybody under 21. Sorry, you gotta be able to drink. That's just me. You have to at least be able to drink, at least. But this is a different story because when I start telling you a little bit about the baby daddy, you'll be like, oh, all right, it makes a little sense. So I started hearing rumors about the baby daddy and about how he's on the offenders list, if you know what I mean.
Rebecca, the pregnant woman who is missing, is currently pregnant by Richard, who she's also allegedly engaged to.
He is a registered, you know. So I dug deep and I looked, and he sure enough is. And it's not just one case; it is a lot. And we're talking about where a couple of these charges were, between where the people were between 13 and 15, is what it would say, and about how he kept pretty much almost like trying to coerce certain individuals or minors to maybe do stuff with him because of the type of charge that was on the record that I saw. And that's pretty much what it is. Like you're texting somebody or, you're trying to convince them to do something. That's pretty much what that is. So we're going to look at right now, because there was rumors that the father of the baby, who is Richard Fowler or Fowler, however you say his name, is Fowler or Fowler. So there's rumors that he was actually a registered offender, okay? And I did see that he is a registered offender, but not only that, this man has a lot going on. He has a criminal conduct and third, which means persons through 13 and 15 attempt, assault, attempt to commit crime with SEXUAL conditions, second degree. He also has accosting for immoral purpose. You know what accosting is? Accosting is pretty much almost like when you're what's the easy way to put it for you guys? Almost like when you're sending out text trying to convince somebody to do something for you. Like, hey, you want to do this for me? You want to do this for me? So pretty much he was trying to convince an underage person to do something with them. Now it could have been over text or something like that, social media like Snap, any of those, and that's probably why he got that charge and when he got caught for that. So 2014, look at this. July 2014, and then June 2014, and then July 2014, and then also August 2005. This one has an incapacitated victim, which means they were incapacitated probably from alcohol or so, meaning that they got taken advantage of, or supposedly they got taken advantage of while they were under the influence. He also has another accosting for a moral purpose. So then he has third degree, and wow, I mean, this guy, it goes on. It's not pretty. But it wasn't just one; it was multiple. It was a lot. Okay, so I'm like, is this why he was with Becca when she was 20? Now, I'm not saying he did it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he did it. But what you have to look at is when police get involved in any type of crime or circumstances, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to look at suspects. They're going to look at who's involved. They're going to look at who's the last person to see her mom. They're going to look at the significant other, the boyfriend, fiance, or husband, whatever it is. Then they're going to do background checks on all of them. They're not going to tell you, if you're a suspect, they're not going to tell you they're doing all that. They might not even tell you you're the suspect, but they're doing it all. So, and then not only that, they're going to see if they can find a motive through all of this. That's the whole key, to see if they can find a motive, because a lot of people will lie. They're not going to admit they did something. They're going to lie. So they have to do their own investigation work. Me, when I was doing my criminal activity, I even had to do investigation work before I got involved with another criminal doing a criminal activity. I had to make sure they weren't snitching. I had to make sure they weren't wearing a wire. I had to make sure that if they'd done this before, I had to do all kind of things, all right? So it's the same thing the police do. So I get it, whatever, right? But this is what you have to do when you look at these situations. You have to, or you're gonna miss something. So you have to have an open eye and open ears. So I saw all this and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Then, not only that, I also saw that they were before they were together, the daddy of the unborn child was once with Rebecca's mother. Rebecca's mother is Courtney. So the last woman to see Rebecca alive is her own biological mom named Courtney. Courtney was once in a relationship with Rebecca's baby dad.
Richard also happens to be her biological mother's ex-boyfriend. And baby daddy fiance / mom's ex-boyfriend happens to be a registered SO.
Yeah, I know. You guys are like, wow, this is crazy. It kind of is. Then you got to look at motive behind that. You got to look at some motive. Was somebody jealous in the situation because Becca got pregnant? You have to look at these things, right? Now, Rebecca's mother, Courtney, has a new boyfriend. Or a new man, supposedly. This guy also has a record of the same stuff almost the baby daddy has. So the baby's daddy's name is Richard. Rebecca's mom's name is Courtney. Courtney got with a new guy. His name is Brad. And then he's also on the SO list as well. Now, the mother, her boyfriend, I heard, stuff about him. The mother is also, not the mother, sorry, but the mother's boyfriend is also on the offenders list. So you have the mother of Rebecca, okay? The mother of Rebecca, her boyfriend is also on the offenders list. And his goes back 2016, 14, 11, 2010, 2000. He's got one too. One for persons 13 through 15, failure to comply to report, even a theft charge, larceny, abuse of material. That's like having magazines or pictures or something like that. Probably was on his phone. So he's even got it too. So even what they were talking about him is true.
Everybody with me? Rebecca's mom, who was the last person to see her alive and also the ex-girlfriend of Rebecca's baby daddy, is currently married to Brad, who is also a registered SO.
And his charges from like the mid 2000s and early, it's crazy. And some people might ask, why is she getting with all these offenders? So Cadillac, Michigan is a small town, and I was curious of how many people are registered offenders there in this small town. So it says, as of recent report, Cadillac, Michigan has 82 offenders among a population of just over 10,000 residents. Well, you think, well, it's only 82 and 10,000, but you got to look at the ratio, resulting in a ratio of approximately 130 residents to one offender, which is considered rather high. Michigan overall is noted for having a high number of registered offenders per capita, ranking among the top states in the nation. This is something I never knew. You learn something every day. One thing I can answer and one thing I can tell you is, from being where I was at when I did my time, S offenders are usually in a separate pod. Usually they're in protective custody, or if the prison is big enough, they sometimes will have their own pod. And the reason being is because the regular inmates, of course, don't like that, especially if it's dealing with underage individuals. So if it's dealing with underage individuals, these offenders are going to have a hard time. First of all, they're not allowed to walk the yard. For those of you who don't know what that is, walking the yard is basically when you get outside time. You see in the movies, they're out there lifting weights, playing basketball, walking around. That's pretty much walking the yard is what we would call. So they're not allowed to walk the yard. When there's yard time, if they come out in the yard, oh yeah, they're getting something's getting done to them, and they're going right back to where they came from, which is the cell. All right. So they're not allowed to walk the yard if we know. Or if not going to say me, but if the other inmates know. A lot of time inmates will check people's paperwork. Like I said, investigation background. If somebody comes in, okay, and there's one little hint or word or something about it, best believe you're going to get checked for your paperwork, because when you get locked up and you go to these places, not county, but when you go to prison, most of the time you have your paperwork with you, and they're going to check your paperwork and they're going to see what you're in there for. And then they're going to give you a choice. If you want to stay, this is what's going to happen to you. Or you go press this button, or you tell the guard and you go to where you're supposed to be. So these people have a hard time. So a lot of times they stick together. They stick together because that's what, they stick together. They're friends with one another because nobody else wants to be friends with them. So that could explain maybe why all these offenders are kind of in a circle. These aren't the only two. Becca has a best friend. The friend has a mother, okay? And the mother supposedly is on the list as well. Somebody even told me the mother's boyfriend is on the list. I didn't check that far. I didn't have the time, all right? But that could explain why all these people are in the same circle. Now, you may ask, well, just because these people on the list, what does that have to do with Rebecca missing? And you're right. What does it have to do with Rebecca missing? But you have to look at all these people that surround her. First of all these cases that I've been covering, okay? All these cases I've been covering. I'm going to tell you right now, 99.9% of the time, the last person that has seen them has been the one who's been responsible. There was a young lady I covered earlier. I believe it was around the summertime. I forgot her name, but I think it was out of Virginia. I can't remember exactly, but I think another small town out of Virginia or West Virginia. She ended up missing, and she was also expecting. She was last seen by her boyfriend, and her boyfriend reporter, said, hey, she wandered off. And I think he said she got into a car. I can't remember exactly the story. I have to go back. But they ended up finding her in the forest, in the woods, because there was a bunch of woods behind his apartment or his place. They found her back there. I'm sorry, they found her, I think, in his shed or something like that after they searched the woods. But he got arrested for it. I covered a lady, Dakara Thompson. Dakara Thompson was a young lady, I believe she went missing out of Maryland, okay? She got into a car. The last person that she got into a car with, that guy is also arrested, all right? I covered another individual. Some of y'all hear from that, Kata Scott. Kata Scott got into a car. That person has been arrested. Now, we all know in the Kata Scott case, there's more than just that one individual who got arrested. There's more because the affidavit shows more. We're all just waiting. But he's still arrested because he was the last one to see her alive, okay? Now, I'm not saying Rebecca is unalived. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. So don't clip that and make that a meme. But what I am saying is almost all these cases that I have gone through, the last person that has seen you is usually they got something to do with it. Now, she's also in her last trimester. Today, she is supposed to give birth. She went missing November 3rd. So November 3rd, think about this. She was already 38 weeks. Not many women wander off on their own. Now, some people are speculating that she could have went off on her own. Her sister told the news that she has disappeared before. She's done it before.
But nothing that's solid.
Becca's younger half-sister, Kimberly Park, says they're close.
We talk at least 2 to 3 times a day, if not more.
Kimberly says she doesn't know what to think. She says Becca has disappeared before, but she usually kept in contact with someone.
I honestly try not to think about what happened. I mean, she's disappeared before, but someone always knew.
But the difference is when she did it before, she kept in contact with somebody. The sister even said that she's even hid her out before. So she's always kept in contact with somebody. This time, supposedly, she's not in contact with anybody. Now, there was an inheritance, okay? An inheritance. Now, I can't get the fact of how much money was involved, but supposedly a family member passed away. I heard it was the grandmother passed away. And I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard, okay? The grandmother passed away and left money. And Rebecca got $2,000 of that money. So that was the reason why she went to her biological mom's house in the first place, was to collect that $2,000. She got that money and then she went missing, okay?
I know that Rebecca don't go nowhere by herself. I know that me and Rebecca and Paige have had a thing in mind for at least 6 years now, that if something was to go wrong, we have Rebecca's okay to call the cops and have them come look for her.
I don't know total how much money altogether that was left, but that was Rebecca's part, okay? So then you got to look at it as like this. She got $2,000 on her. Some people are saying, did she do one of her disappearing acts again because she's got the money to do so? Some of y'all might be like, $2,000? Oh man, that ain't enough. I told you I went on the run. When I left, I had $100 in my pocket, and I made that stretch. I turned that $100 into lots of money within the 15 years where I was gone, and I did it legally, not illegally. All right? So there's ways that you can do it. There is ways, all right? So if she did disappear, because they were checking to see if she made any credit card transactions, debit card transactions, because a missing person, when they're missing, they are going to check your debit cards and they're going to get subpoenas through your bank accounts. They're going to check all that stuff to see if you withdrew money, because all those ATM machines have cameras and they can see who withdrew the money. If it's not you, they have a suspect, things like that. So far, there's been no transactions on her bank account whatsoever. And her phone, I said, was found down the street, and she never left with her phone. So some people are wondering, did she take off with the 2K? And if she did, who did she take off with? Was she in contact with somebody beforehand or anything like that she wasn't telling anybody? Now, it is very rare for a person, like I said, especially a woman who's expecting their last trimester to go to disappear. Because why? A lot of times they're emotional. They're vulnerable. A lot of times they are they're expecting, especially if she's going through she's going to give birth any day. So a lot of times they want to feel safe and secure just for the unborn child's sake, all right? Not even for the mother's sake, but the unborn child's sake. There's a lot of anxiety going around that time. I also thought about, would somebody want to take that money from her? Let's say she did get into a car and the mom's telling the truth. Now, I'm going to tell you some things. The mom's story did change a bunch of times. Mom's story changed a bunch of times. But let's say she did really get into a car. Did she tell somebody beforehand, hey, I'm getting this money? And somebody was desperate, like, oh, that's a lot of money. Because to some people, that is a lot of money. Some people, $2,000 is a lot of money. If a person rents like $600, think about it. That's 3 months of rent. That's a lot of money to them. Okay? Now, you might be living in a place where your rent ain't $600. I know I'm not. But some of these little small places, I don't know. I didn't look at the rent in Cadillac, Michigan, but some of these small places got small rent. Okay? So in some of these small places, that $2,000 could be a lot of money. So would somebody want to take that $2,000 from her and in the mix maybe did something to her? Makes you wonder that too. Then you ask yourself, if it is the last person that sees, a missing person, if usually they're always the one responsible, why would her biological mother want to have something done to Rebecca? And that's a great question. Why? I can't answer the why, but I can give speculation. Rebecca was with the ex-boyfriend, the 43-year-old Richard, who Richard got with her when she was only 20 years old. Richard right now, if you go on TikTok and Instagram, Richard is actually supposedly texting other people, other individuals, women who are young at this very moment, supposedly, relations, texting them things like Rebecca is not existing, texting them things like, hey, I want you to come over, texting them things like, hey, show me pictures of this. And there's people that are on social media talking about this and showing these text messages. Now, you can make up text messages. You can doctor them. That's easy, really easy. Matter of fact, taking text messages into a court can easily be defeated if it's a copy of the text message and that text message is not from the original carrier. Meaning, if you didn't get Verizon's transcripts of all your text messages, that's not official. But if you come in there with a screenshot of a text message, that could be beatable in court because all the defense attorney has to say, hey, how you know these messages are for real? How do you know she didn't Photoshop them? How do you know she didn't go into one of those spoof apps because they got them where you can fake text messages? And then the district attorney has nothing to say after that because they don't know. It's not official from what other phone carrier it is. So you have people showing screenshots of text messages. I don't know if they're real or not, but they're out there. We're still not done, people. We're not done. That could be a motive just in itself right there. All right? Just between the mom and the mom's ex-man, which is now the baby daddy, Richard. Would one of them want them gone? Would it be over jealousy or something like that? Now, we don't know. Now, the mom has been going on social media platforms, okay? And not going on these platforms talking about, we need to go look for my daughter. We need to go do this and we need to go do that. Please, anything. She's been going on social media defending herself, answering questions. People have been grilling this woman like they're detectives or investigators to try and get truthful answers out of her live on TikToks and all kind of platforms. And she's been doing it willingly, answering all these questions. This is how people not just get caught, but also how people will look at you like you look guilty. When you're in jail, 8 out of 10 of those inmates in there swear they didn't do it. Now, there are a couple that really didn't do it. They are. But there's a lot of them in there, I didn't do it. And they did it. They got caught red-handed. But they're going to say they didn't do it. And they're going to tell everybody they talk to they didn't do it. They're going to tell you the story. This is what happened and that what happened. I didn't do it. And then eventually, if you keep listening to the story, some little things will change. They will. They will change. They will say, I didn't steal all that money that was in that safe. I don't know who did it. Okay? The safe was locked and it wasn't me. I wasn't even there. I was at such and such's house. Then they might come back and say, I didn't steal all that money that was inside that car. I wasn't there. I was at such and such house. Then they might say, I didn't steal the $10,000 out of the closet. I was at Target. Because you tell a lie, then you got to keep up with the lie. You got to remember the lie. You know it takes a really high IQ person to remember their lie if the lie is a detailed story. If the lie is like, where were you at? Were you at Jim's? And you say no, and that's all you say, a no is easy to remember. But if they say, where were you at Jim's? And you say, no, I wasn't at Jim's. I went to Charleston's house and we played this and we did that. I drank purple Kool-Aid. Now you're giving too much details. It's hard for you to remember all those details, okay? Because you just made up a story in your head with all these details and now you're telling on yourself. So she's going on these platforms. They're grilling her and sometimes her story has changed up. First, it was I think she said a black sedan with tinted windows. And it was an Impala. Then it went to an SUV. Now, the story changed about 3 times. Some people even said 4. I didn't get to listen to all of them, to be honest with you. It was a lot. And when it comes to certain individuals, I'm not going to listen to a lot of individuals anyway, because sometimes you don't even know what to believe. So it's a waste of time. You might as well do your background search instead of talking to some people. But it is a slight detail that's different and changed up. Does that mean she's lying? But does that give you a perspective of she's lying? Yes, it does. It gives you a negative. Now, Teams, they have been out and they've been searching. They've been searching all over for Rebecca. Supposedly, the mom has not searched for her. Supposedly, she went onto a panel and said she wasn't able to because she has one leg. She's an amputee and she can't do it. But she's a caretaker for other people, children. I don't know. Even if I had 2 legs gone, I'm out there looking for mine. Give me my wheelchair. Give me something. Let me go get a car. You don't need let me do something. I'm putting a broomstick on the gas pedal. If I ain't got I'm trying to figure out something. I'm going to figure it out of how to get out there in the search. Has the police searched the house? There's rumors that she won't allow them to. I don't know if that's true, but there's rumors that she won't allow them to. That's another red flag, if that's the case. Supposedly, there's no cameras on the outside, but she was caught, I guess, allegedly lying because she told someone else there's cameras on the inside. There's supposedly there's footage of these cameras on the inside.
1, they have searched my property. 2, I didn't touch my daughter. And 3, we already know the info that you're telling us, Araya.
And we got cameras watching the road, you dumb.
So you better watch it. Rusty, you better get your child under control because she's taking a mother's pain and turning it into a goddamn circus. You don't have kids that actually you take care of. I do, unfortunately, that you don't have yours because you can't be a mom to yours. You're getting an ass whooping, you keep it up. I'm not playing with you anymore. I already know the goddamn information. My daughter probably left rich. Y'all can't accept it. Get over it. If that is what she did, then I'm happy for her. I just want to know where she's at and that she's okay. That's all that counts anymore. And you know what? You ever say, I laid a hand on my pregnant daughter, Araya, so help me, God. You will not like me. Don't play with me.
And then she told someone else there's cameras, but they don't work. So it is a lot. Is Rebecca's mom responsible for this? I don't know. I couldn't tell you she is. Is she giving red flags? Yes, she's giving a lot. Especially defending herself left and right, when she shouldn't even be answering these questions, especially if the police are involved. She shouldn't be on these panels answering questions anyway. She shouldn't be doing. You're telling on yourself. You're making it worse for your situation. And you guys might be looking at me like, now, why am I giving her advice? It's too late. She's already been out there doing it. All they got to do is pull it up. It's all over. It's all over. All over. Now, I hope they do find her, and I hope they find her safe and sound. I actually hope she just ran away from this nonsense. I hope she ran away from this nonsense. Excuse me. She took her money, and maybe she found a new man that can take care of her. I don't know. But I hope she just ran away from this nonsense, and she just disappeared, gone with the wind, figure out a way to change her name like I did multiple times when I was on the run, and just and living life and doing her thing. Because that would mean at least she's safe, and at least the baby is safe, right? Those are the two things. So I hope that would be the best outcome. Now, for some reason, if they do find her unalived, like these other cases I've been covering, and they do find her that way, now everybody's going to be looking at the mom because she's the last one to see her. Everybody's going to be looking at the boyfriend because of his background, and not just because of the background about her, him and Rebecca's mom had a relationship. Everybody's going to be looking at the money thing. Did somebody do something because they wanted that $2,000? Was anybody in that house on narcotics, pharmaceuticals, or anything? Did anybody in that house owe anybody some money? And they was mad, like, hey, you owe me this money. We don't know. But I'm going to continue doing my research. Y'all let me know if you guys heard of this case. I haven't seen a lot of national news or media attention on this. I just seen like the local news and some TikTokers and Instagrammers and things like that. That is it. I haven't seen a lot on this. Maybe because it's a small town in Cadillac. That could be why. But like I said, somebody emailed me to look into this situation. So that's what I did. So I'm giving it to you guys. Let me know below. What do you think? Do you think, first of all, she's alive? Second of all, if she's not alive for some reason, do you think somebody is responsible for what could have happened to her? The mom, the boyfriend, our fiance, whatever he is. That somebody needs some money? You know, there's a lot of just mind blown things going on here, especially with all the criminal activity that surrounds the whole sick circle with the same sort of crimes. All right. Please like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. I'm going to be uploading another video soon with an update on Anna Kepner. There's a big update on Anna Kepner. I'm going to give you a short video on that. All right. Fugitive TV, we're out.